Hello, everybody,
Hey.
and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube news show. I'm Brandon.
I'm Darren.
We got some interesting topics to talk about here today.
Guess who taught this morning?
Was it you?
It was me. Look, I'm wearing my hat, my tie. I got 3 presentations today. Usually it's you. Like last week you had 13, I think you did, all by yourself.
No, I had 12 programs myself last week.
And then I've got 3 today. I got a couple more. You got a couple this week. But I think between now and the end of June, we got another 25 scheduled. Like I did the count last night. We're since January, 196.
Where am I going to get time to upgrade the studio?
I know. Hey, another question, another comment. Guess what's happening to me this Wednesday?
What's up to you Wednesday?
I get my second COVID shot.
Oh, nice.
I'm scheduled to go. And speaking of COVID shots, this kind of segues nicely. Do I understand that you got your COVID shot this weekend?
I did.
What day?
I got on Saturday.
How'd it go?
I'm fine. What?
How'd it go?
I'm not a big fan of needles.
Like, true story, when he was like 15, he got his first needle and he kind of went boom, flop over. So how did it, well, you did. What happened this time? Was everything good?
I just was sweating a lot, and my vision was a little zoomy in and out.
And what did they do with you?
Gave me a juice box.
Gave you a juice box.
I need some sugar.
He was actually, Mom and Dad were at home sitting, and all of a sudden, there's a picture of you sitting there going, I just got my flu shot. And then there's a picture of you drinking your juice box. It was funny as hell. But I'm happy you got your first shot.
Fine.
Your partner gets her shot when?
It was only like 8 minutes. It was like 8 minutes after. Like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it was kind of an after effect for you, right? It was interesting because when I got my first shot, nothing. Like I had the AstraZeneca. I had a slight temperature for maybe 4 hours. Nothing major, just slight. But it was good. I mean, but yeah, how's your arm today? Good.
It's fine.
You know after effects or anything? Yeah. It's kind of.
No.
I'm excited on getting my second shot. Yeah, kind of cool. So what do we got in the news?
Yeah, in the news.
I remembered it today. In the news.
Did you know?
In the news.
All right. So first news.
That's
topic.
a cool angle, by the way. That's a cool angle.
Playing,
Using the jib, right?
Playing with the jib.
Playing with the jib.
The first topic we got today is TikTok.
Oh.
TikTok quietly.
TikTok on the clock. I can't
TikTok
resist.
quietly updates its privacy policy to collect the user's biometric data. So now that all the controversies ended, now it's time to continue on with their overall plan. Like every other social network is to collect as much data as possible.
You know,
dun dun dun.
I read this just this weekend, right? This is only applying to the U.S. right now. They've made it perfectly clear it's only in the U.S. They can't do it in Great Britain or anything else. But you'd be fooling yourself.
Canada?
No,
Probably
not in Canada. No, they said not in Canada, just in the U.S. at this point in time. But you mentioned it. Most of the other social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, all the other big players are doing the same thing. They just weren't public about it as TikTok. TikTok is being very upfront about it. But I think this is going to garner more discussion on just because you can do it. Should you be doing it? And why are you collecting the information? What are you doing with it? I mean, this is what's going to be interesting for fields of work such as undercover operations, right? Young people today who maybe want to get into the military, law enforcement, federal enforcement agencies to do undercover work with all this facial recognition that sites like this are using now. I mean, it's going to make it much, much harder, in my opinion, to find people who can fit into those positions because of what's going on with these sites right now. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good thing, bad thing? Like,
I mean, there's no real need for it. In terms of the platform to operate, it doesn't need this information. It doesn't need your face fingerprint in order to...
And voice. They're doing voice.
It doesn't need that to conduct its service. It's just extra stuff for marketing purposes. So, I mean, that'll be the whole question.
Yeah, this one kind of, there's lots of controversy over TikTok. We wrote an article about it saying that it's not as bad as what a lot of people think it is, specifically on what they're doing with the data. I mean, there's some things that people are doing on TikTok that aren't cool, like any other social media platform, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, TikTok has some of the best parental controls on the market compared to all the other social media sites. Like they're doing their due diligence, right?
It does enable certain privacy features by default for those under the age of the requirements.
Yeah. But this one, I'll tell you, this one kind of made me go, TikTok, what are you doing? Like, really? Right?
Well, Facebook does this. Why can't they do it?
I know, but just because you can do it doesn't mean should you do it, right? Like,
but if it's legally okay, then why not?
I know,
right?
But still, anyways, those are just my thoughts.
Yeah. Next story is Amazon. USA customers have 1 week to opt out of mass wireless sharing. Although I guess by the date of recording this, it will already be activated because this happened last week.
Oh.
So, Apple, not Apple. Bleh.
Oh boy.
Amazon is going ahead with their sidewalk sharing feature.
Okay, so what's the sidewalk sharing feature? What's that all about? So our viewers know.
So Amazon Sidewalk.
Because before we go in there, this is important because a lot of people are using Ring and the Amazon Echo and all these kind of things, right? So what is the sidewalk feature?
So Sidewalk is a program being implemented into Amazon products. Some of them have them already enabled, like many Ring products, which basically allows your home technologies. Let's say you have a camera outside your house. Let's say your Wi-Fi router is on the other side of the house and you got a really poor signal.
Right.
But let's say your next door neighbor has an Amazon product, and it just so happens that their Wi-Fi network is a little stronger wherever your camera is. So what this allows you to do is basically connect your camera to your neighbor's network via this mesh network that goes through these devices, and that is how you share or get better signals through a mesh network. Kind of similar to how Apple does its AirTags.
So a couple questions for you here. What if, is this done by Wi-Fi, obviously?
It's done for Wi-Fi, yes.
So if my Wi-Fi is set up that nobody can join my Wi-Fi unless with a passcode, if my next door neighbor doesn't have the passcode, will they still be able to access?
It's not as, people are a little more overly angry over this because they maybe don't understand the technology.
Yes, that's what I'm.
So what Amazon has declared is that there's various levels.
And we should believe Amazon.
There's various levels of encryption in place in order to prevent misuse. And the Wi-Fi network connections, it's not like someone connects into your home router directly.
Yeah, that's my question.
It's a mesh network. So what it means is it's the device.
The device itself.
So it's your smart camera connects into your smart camera. Like my smart camera connects to your smart camera. So your smart camera already has access to your Wi-Fi network.
It's kind of like Tile. Tile uses
Tile, Apple's AirTags, is all pretty much similar in these mesh networks these companies are building.
Okay, second question. How does that affect my my data, flow?
Many households have unlimited data anyways. And Amazon did say that the amount of data that would be sent is very minimal.
Amazon said that.
Amazon said that. We'll see what the actual numbers are when people actually take this and research it and look at the actual numbers.
Third question. This is on by default.
So if there was one thing to mostly be angry about, that it would be the most thing.
Yeah.
In that if you purchase an Amazon product that has Sidewalk enabled, it's enabled by default.
You know, I personally, I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of these products, right? They have a lot of these functions on by default, right? And it's really, they should be off by default and then leave it up to the owner of the device to make the decision. Yes, I want that on. Yes, I want that on. No, I don't want that on. No, I don't want that on, right?
I should have added it into the show, but there was also a story last week where in a courtroom, documents were revealed that Google had intentionally sort of hidden the location settings on their Android phone.
To make it harder?
It made it a little harder to find in order to have people have it on by default.
Right, because again, they're collecting location information, right? Which is important for them from an advertisement standpoint, all that kind of stuff, right? So that is one of the things. I mean, the Australian E-Commissioner office is really big on privacy and security by design, right? And too many of these companies, I think especially now that privacy is becoming such a big deal, are now learning that information is getting harder to collect, so they're doing whatever they can to make sure they're collecting as much as they can right now before it's too late. Right?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. But all these types of options, they should be off by default, right? So that it leaves the owner a decision. I understand why the companies are putting it on by default because it works in their favor.
Yeah, but if you don't like it, you can just buy a different smart camera and not Ring.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But Ring is cheap. It's well known. It's easy.
It's actually not that cheap. I mean, no? The product is where they get you is on their subscription service. Right, that's what So they get you for the online storage of videos, and they charge you for that.
Unless you can store it on your own system, right?
Ring doesn't let you do that.
Buggers.
That's why there's some alternative ones. The cameras are a little more expensive, but you can store the files locally on the cameras or on your own network.
Yeah, I kind of have it like in my car. I've got my own in-car camera now,
Correct.
and it uses and it just recycles itself, right?
Exactly.
Do you think that we should have a camera on our property?
No.
No?
We live on a big, massive hill.
We've got the high ground.
where there's these big banks of windows, 360 degree. It's like a panopticon.
A what?
Panopticon.
What the hoot is a panopticon?
It's a...
Can you pull it up and show everybody what it is?
On that computer we could.
Oh, too late.
It has been used in a couple places. It's a schematic of a prison architecture layout where you have a guard post in the middle and all cells are pointing inwards. So
okay.
at any moment you never know who's watching in. And there's a couple. I think a couple places. One in Cuba had built one.
You and I kind of talked about if the zombie apocalypse hits, we're in a good position.
Yes. Or flood.
Or flood, we're in a good position.
We are on an island.
We are on an island. And the oceans are rising, but we are definitely on high ground. We did live in a place, remember down on the other place where when the river rose, we basically had a swimming pool in our basement. I don't know if you remember those days. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Right? We don't have to worry about where we are. We're on rock. We got high ground. High ground advantage. Tactically advantage.
But if we were to add a camera, it'd probably connect into our local network storage device.
Yeah, I was thinking if we were going to get a camera, I could put on the deck so it's pointing at the driveway. So anything, because the only really easy way to get to us is up the driveway.
Yeah, true.
Right. So.
Yeah, you'd have
to. And then for all your Amazon
you'd have to scale. You'd have to scale some rocks.
Exactly.
Get some mountain climbing equipment.
Exactly. What else we got going on in?
Which sucks in the winter when it's snowing.
Yeah, when it snows.
Slip.
It's so nuts.
Okay. So that's where we live.
Although I found these things on Amazon, you can put on your driveway. They're like heating pads.
You put them on the driveway?
You put them on the driveway. They're designed for driveways to keep snow and ice melted.
You know how long our driveway is, right?
I know, but I thought that.
How many of those would you need?
A lot. A lot. Maybe when we get our solar panels, we'll do that. I'm thinking about getting solar panels.
All right.
In about 5 years, right? 5 years. They need to come down a little bit, but that's what I'm thinking. Solar panels.
Next news story is Chrome 91 will warn users when installing untrusted extensions while adding some extra cool features for safety.
So what does this mean? I know what it means. I think it's cool, but what does it mean?
So basically, whenever, as we've talked about in the past here on the show, and there's a bunch of exploits and having extensions, which are little add-ons and modifications to your browser to do really cool things, to modify it. That is becoming a big target for hackers because, generally speaking, those are easy to be installed. People just give them permission to everything on their browser, which is becoming an issue. So what the Chrome update will do in version 91, wow, 91 versions already. In version 91, what it will allow you to do is before you install an extension and add on a modification, it will reference that to make sure it's from a legitimate authorized developer who follows Google standards. If not, it will give you a warning going, hey, you want to make sure you want to download this because, there could be problems.
That's a good idea. So I think this will cause people to go, should I have malware on my system now? Right?
That kind of goes into the second update. Additionally, if you download a file off the internet and maybe Chrome thinks it's a little suspicious, there'll be a prompt you can actually, before you download it, upload that file to Google, who will analyze it for you and then continue to download it if they approve it or not.
So this is more of a preemptive rather than a reactive. Option, right?
I do fear these updates. People will go to Chrome, which I think they probably should, because from a security standpoint, Chrome is one of the best browsers out there for security and stability as well. But I think hearing this, I think some people will go, well, why do I need antivirus? Because Chrome does it for me. I don't, which it's not quite the same thing. I mean, this, like you said, it's a preventative measure. It doesn't stop something that actually gets onto your computer.
Right.
And that's where antivirus comes into play. Functions a lot like insurance.
Well, I've always said, when I was teaching self-defense and use of force, it was the 3Ds: detect, defer, and defend, right? So I think Chrome is doing the detection and the deterring.
Yes.
And then the defending should also be your anti-malware. So if we scaffold the two together, it's offering a better secure environment, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, so detect, deter, defend, right? Is the big three. So yeah, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a browser that's the most secure, Chrome would be your option.
Now, the downside to that, I read another article, we should have added it, I think it was today in my feed, that people are saying the new Google Chrome, Google isn't really now controlling a lot, through the filter bubble about what you're seeing and what they're seeing and what they're collecting. I mean, that's going on. So for some people, that may not necessarily be on, right? So, and what are some of the other browsers? Brave browser, right? Brave?
Yeah, Brave is a privacy-focused browser designed to disable cookies by default. Basically, it's a private browsing, doesn't save your history, which is decent for that feature. But I mean, it's not backed by Google's infrastructure for necessarily safety security.
The behemoth.
Yes.
The behemoth. You see Bezos with Amazon, he's now going to be one of the first guys going to space in his new SpaceX thing, eh?
Oh, fantastic.
I know.
Bye.
Just saying. What else we got going?
Next and last story for today is Battle for the Galaxy. Mobile game.
That looks like a transformer. Look at it.
A mobile game leaked 6 million gamer profile. So, I mean, this kind of
Did it actually leak it?
Well, that's the thing. So, on this story, it was a security researcher who found an issue doing their security searching, as researchers do, and they found a database, unsecured, reported to the company, who then fixed it. They didn't respond to the request, but it magically was fixed one day after the email was sent. So, respond to the researchers who reach out to you and fix your stuff. Right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that someone had access to this who shouldn't have, but it is a possibility because it was online for who knows how long. Right. So that's the big issue is, how long was it out there, who did get access to it, and what was included. As most data breaches, nothing significant. There were no passwords. There were no credit card numbers. None of that. What was included in this data breach was emails. One unique thing that not all data breaches have is it also had the amount of money players spent inside the game, which is a very different data that was basically made public because most of the time that's not there. So
if I was a hacker, if I see somebody who's spending lots of money, that may be somebody who I want to target.
Yeah, because usually in these data breaches, every person who's affected has equal opportunity to be hacked, to be sent a phishing scam to try and get their logins. With this, is a little different because, if I know you're in the top 1% of spenders, you probably have some money that I might want to go after as a hacker or a scammer. Right. So, again, this is just the trend of the gaming industry being more heavily focused on attacks.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of gaming programs, gaming developers aren't necessarily building security in mind first. It's about building the game, building the best game, making the most money from the game, and then maybe security.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. Battle for the Galaxy. I think that's if you look at it, it looks like a real transformer type of.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It does. Interesting show. Show. I mean, it's always interesting to see what's going on with regards to the big companies, right? The spy versus spy thing, right? Where they're constantly going back and forth. These people are breaching. Okay, what can we do to prevent that? Like the new Google Chrome, and it's kind of it's like spy versus spy, right? Yeah. Cat mouse game, right? Trying to figure out. So, but I getting back to TikTok and some of the other social media, I still get really annoyed that they have a lot of these things on by default, right? Like they should do the right thing and turn them off, and the only way to have them activated is by default, right? Mm-hmm. So, anyways, that's just my thoughts. But obviously it's in their best interest not to do that, right? Yeah. So that's why they do it. So, all right. Much like anything else that we always say. I mean, no matter what social media platform, no matter what your privacy is, no matter what you're doing, just understand that what you're doing can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and sometimes for sale. Exactly. So you're not teaching at all today. Nope. You're just managing the control booth.
Pretty much.
Managing the control booth, and then I got the 3 in there. I think I got 1 tomorrow, and then you got the rest of the week. And then I go for my second shot on Wednesday. I'm so excited. Nice. And then I'll be fully vaxxed. So I'm doing the AstraZeneca is the shot. Which one did you get?
I'm Pfizer.
You're Pfizer. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Yeah, I think mom got the Moderna. Oh. Maybe. Anyway, she didn't have a bad reaction either. Yeah. On behalf of myself, I'm Darren.
And Brandon, thank you all so much, and we'll see you again next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye now.